Jeff, I do see our guest coming on, so we'll get to him in a second. There's the man himself, Chris Therien. How you doing today, sir?
You guys hang on one sec.
No problem. Jeff and I will just keep talking. We were just talking about Ice Wars and basically how they seem to have taken everything from hockey away except for the fighting, the ice, and the skates. Looks pretty cool.
It is. It's an interesting concept for sure. And I mean, I'll tell you guys how I got involved in everything you want to know. So it's interesting for sure. It actually came from a referral from Joe Watson, whose friend from Smithers, British Columbia, did this. So that's how the whole thing came together for me.
So first of all, you're up in Alberta now, right? That's where this
am.
is. So how great is it to be for a hockey guy in Alberta when Edmonton and Calgary are the two remaining Canadian teams fighting it out?
Yeah, it's been since 1991, so it makes it even cooler. Yeah, I mean, there's certain rivalries in sports that a lot of people know about and some don't. But in the U.S., it wouldn't be as prevalent to know about this unless you're a true hockey fan. And it's awesome to be part of this. I mean, it's crazy. Every single Albertan has been part of this insanity that's going on. And it probably couldn't have been a better scenario the way the first game went with a 9-6 crazy score, and Edmonton had initially tied it. So pretty interesting, though. But it's a lot of passion. It really is in Canada very much as big a rival. It's a Red Sox Yankee type of thing. That's how big it is.
Those 15 goals were amazing. That game was something else to watch.
Crazy.
So you're up there in Alberta. Joe Watson told you about this. Tell us about Ice Wars that's going to happen for people so that they can watch and learn about it before we get to the Flyers.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's going to be a really really cool thing to see. Joe Watson had a friend that had founded it, and they were looking for a broadcaster, and so me not doing Flyer stuff anymore has kind of opened up, and I said sure, I'd be happy to be a part of this. It's going to be it's out here at the River Creek Casino in Edmonton, Alberta. If you want to watch it, it's on fight.tv, and the website for it is iwifights.com, iwifights.com. And it's going to be a pretty big deal. It's basically a new combat league. One thing we're very proud of is in fact our safety standards that we have. The guys have the MMA gloves on, leather chin straps on the helmets. It'll be 2 1-minute rounds with a 30-second kind of what we call like a punch off. If we get to that point, we have judges. Balance will be part of it. So we're scoring this very much like a boxing match. I'm not a judge. I'm just calling the action with a couple other guys that are involved in it. But it's going to be quite an event, guys. It's certainly, I think, a new sport. And it's funny. It's a new sport, but it's not a new sport. It's been around for 100 years since the infancy of hockey. Since they've been playing it, and many people for many years said it's always been the best part of the sport. You've never seen anybody sitting down in a hockey fight. And of course, we're talking in Philadelphia, where you had a team kind of born in its infancy out of a camaraderie of toughness and fighting the Broad Street Bullies. So it's gonna be quite a thing. And again, and AJ Galante, who's the founder, with the Netflix special came on, he said, "I got to let everybody know this is not hockey. This is prize fighting on ice." That's exactly right.
My favorite part is how they start it, dropping the hockey gloves to start the fight. That's the best. Tell me what you're thinking. You're going to call this. You've never called anything like this, but you've been in plenty of fights. These guys are going to have their gear on, 2 1-minute rounds. How tired are they going to be after this thing gets going?
Yeah, and I don't tout myself as any kind of a fighter at all. Like I was a pretty, honorable player. I had the odd fight once in a blue moon, but these guys here, like they're real. Like a lot of these guys are senior men's league players. They've had some time in the minors. The highest some guys have been to the American League. There's a guy here, for example, his name is John Morasti. His name is synonymous with just about, there's not a hockey player that you could talk to in North America that doesn't know who John Morasti is. He's one of our judges. Legendary. And if you go into the movie Goon, a lot of these characters, guys, are those type of players from the movie Goon, with the Liev Schreiber character in that movie, they say it was basically made after John Morasti. So I've talked to them. I said, what's in it? There's prize money in it. And these guys really just do want to be crowned king of the rink. So as for me, I'm going to help Phil Jubileo, who did a lot of the stuff for the Danbury Trashers, where this whole thing started. That Netflix special gives everybody kind of a setup, untold crimes and penalties of how this thing started. And it's just a really, really interesting story. So I'm going to be on it, just like nothing different, helping call in on the action, and hopefully we have some really, really good bouts. I know we will. These guys are spoken to a lot of them this morning. Man, they really want to win this. They really want to win that crown as well.
Yeah, well, but Chris, the key to me is the other judge, or one of the other judges, is Frank the Animal Bialowas, who we all know here. Is there any chance that we could get the two judges to fight each other?
So listen to this, guys. This is actually, I actually have another special too. I'm going to tell you a little story. There actually might be, and I think I'm going to actually go on the more yes side of. We have a very special guest coming tomorrow night. But there's a lot. There's going to be a lot of like crazy stuff going on, Jeff, and it'll be interesting. You know, I talked to Flyers, and I was just saying, you know, I should let the cat out of the bag. I'm walking through the casino yesterday, and Carter Hart's father stops me. And I'm like, wow, Carter Hart from Edmonton. So what are you guys doing? What are you doing Saturday night? So
please don't let him.
Don't have Carter go out and fight. Yeah, let's.
He's not fighting, but he wants to come out the casino. This is a really big casino here in this area, guys, and it's really, it's on the Cree Nation territory. They do a great job, so they have a lot of events come in here. This just happens to be the Saturday night fights, and so we're hoping we're going to get the great young Philadelphia netminder out here at the fights on Saturday. It's a local casino for him.
You know, it provides a great transition into him and what happened with the team this season. You know, we'll obviously encourage everybody to get it on Fight TV and watch your commentary. You've called a lot of Flyers games. You've been with this organization a long time. 47 years next week since they've won a championship. All the talk right now about coach, team, what's next. If you're looking at the coach, what type of coach does this team need to change the culture, and what style of play does the current roster fit?
Yeah, I mean, both really good questions. You know, I think there's a lot of coaches out there. I think by the time this is done, unless the Flyers make their mind up to try to get, like, say, a Barry Trotz in on the interview, which was, I think, supposed to happen today. I heard it got canceled for maybe some weather issues, but nonetheless, I mean, they're looking at some high-profile guys. You know, again, you know, like I didn't say this, but their former coach, Mike Yeo, did. I mean, at the end of the year, he said, I don't care who you are. If you were Toe Blake or Scotty Bowman, he couldn't have had success with this team. So, I mean, he said that, right? No one else did. So basically, he's making a comment about his entire hockey team. That I've known things about this group, guys. Like, I don't think this is a team destined to win anything as it sits right now. I'm stepping out of bounds saying it. They're just not. I mean, they're fifth worst from the bottom of the league this year. There's really nothing in the pipeline in terms of anybody coming up. You have to do a good job drafting. You know, the Nolan Patrick play at second overall becomes an absolute, you know, you decimate your team for a longer time when a high pick like that doesn't come home to roost. And that's what happened. There's a lot of problems that have happened here, whether it's the guys got oversold their value by, you know, prior management or current management telling you this is what we have, this is what we have. But, you know, I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of things that have to happen. There has to be personnel changes. They've got to do a better job through the draft, tweaking with free agency. It's not the free agency that people once remembered of everybody wanting to come to Philadelphia. That's not the case anymore. You know, there's other teams that are our destinations now. To me, I still know that this franchise can be restored to greatness. This is a passionate fan base. And when I looked out this year some nights and there's 5,000 people there, it made me sick to my stomach. And I'm thinking to myself, how did this happen? Well, you keep shoving out the mascot every single night and doing things and doing things with a team that nobody cared about. And then you add a really, really bad product on the ice. You're left with 5,000 people at a hockey game, with also the pandemic as well around it.
You're right that you need to do something about the draft, but that's a long-term solution. What can they do over the next year or two that can at least bring them back to getting in the playoffs and people being excited about going to the games?
I don't think there's anything they can do right now except just put on a prayer, a hockey prayer, and say hopefully we make the playoff. This team, and the way it's going, guys. I mean, there's no plug and play in the next 2 or 3 years that I could see, unless you get long term is getting those guys. I don't know how you're going to get a free agent that's going to come in here and change the course of a franchise 1 year. Nor do I know that I want that. I mean, I've openly said for well over a year, even they missed the playoffs 2 years in a row. It's time to say, like, we need to do what the Rangers did. We need to be honest with our fan base and say, guys, we're rebuilding. Be patient with us. We're going to try to put the best product on the ice that exemplifies who this city is, the history of the franchise, but also making changes for, you know, the modern game, you know, for whether that's coaching, whether that's, you know, more dealing with more skilled players and the rough and tumble players. Either or, you need somebody in here that's going to be able to fix this. a general manager that has an understanding of the team he's going to put on the ice, and have his handprint all over it. And right now, it just looks, guys, like they're just going all over the place. And I'm not sure where that necessarily leads. They need a coach. We don't have a head coach right now. The last coach sat beside the general manager and said, those two great legendary coaches can't coach his team. So I'm going by that. That's about as pretty blatantly honest as possible, and I tend to agree with that.
Look, I'm hoping that money talks. You talk about 5,000 fans in a stadium, almost a 40% drop in their TV ratings, and that was the worst part to me this season. Worse than even the play on the ice was the apathy that this rabid fan base had to this once proud team. And so you talk about short-term, long-term. What do they do? It seems like they've tried to separate themselves from their past culture, but their current culture is not a good one in the eyes of the fans. What do you do to bring fans back separate from the product on the ice, other than asking them, how do you feel?
Well, you know what? And that's a great question. And you know what, guys? I wish I had a full answer for you for that, but I'm scared. I'm really, truly worried about the future of this team. I mean, they came in here and made overhaul decisions that the fans, like, I walk down the street or I go to a Wawa and I hear the new branding that the new business side has tried to do. I mean, they've told them, well, Flyer fans are going to have to kind of wake up and get up with the times. But what does that mean? I don't understand what that means. I mean, we've had a product here. Yeah. So, I mean, if the biggest complaint that Flyers fans had since 1975 was that the team hasn't won, well, I mean, the Flyers have always given with Snyder at the helm, given the city an opportunity to try to win. One team wins, right? At the end of the day, I had some great teams. We did not win a cup. We probably should have won one or two. It didn't happen. But again, when you start doing the things that they've done and making changes to a team where the bulk of the market in Philadelphia wants to go to the hockey game. They want to talk to the fan next to them at the intermission. They want to hear an organ play sometimes. They don't want to hear some drum beating at the beginning of the game and gritty everything all night long. That's not what it is. And I hear that every single time I go out. They're like, you know what? I'm done. I was an old school fan, and I'm done. I'm done. Whether it's the product, and a lot of times too, you hear the product. We went out there to watch a more physical encounter than we saw, and the game has changed. There's a lot of that, guys. But in Philadelphia, the roadmap had been laid out many, many years ago, and all anybody had to do over time was just stick to that. Hockey departments changed, but the fabric of this city and the fan base has always been about going to see a good, hard hockey game, enjoying the other Philadelphians at the game. And I see it every single night. I mean, even in 2007, guys, I can make a case for it. 2006-07, they were the worst team in the league by a mile. They were sold out every night. Every single night they were sold out. So, something's happened between now and 2022, whether it's the state of the game, but I really do think that the Flyers helped in their own demise. And the people at the top running this organization either didn't understand what this was, had no clue about the history of Philadelphia sports, which I suspect some of it is. They send people in that come to work now. You have to watch a Flyers video about the history of the team. I mean, what is that? I mean, I could get my 3 daughters to go in there and work at any single department the Flyers have, and they would know exactly what Philadelphia sports is about, the history of the Flyers, and what the passion of this fan base is all about. And it's about the product on the ice and having a real chance to have success in the playoffs every year. That's it. The rest is just white noise.
Chris, we could talk to you about hockey and now boxing all day, but we know you have to go. But before you go, it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and you have been giving back to the community for so long, and now your latest effort involves the Pennsylvania Recovery Center. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're doing with the Pennsylvania Recovery Center and how people can either get involved or get the help that they need?
When my hockey journey ended with the Flyers, I wasn't prepared for that. This has been the greatest thing that I've been able to do. And for that, I'm grateful and thankful. Yeah, I get to do, and I'll put a spin on it in a sense that it's allowed me to share my story. Pennsylvania Recovery Center, we were Limitless Recovery. We merged this year with a bigger outfit to try to give us more of a push down in Fishtown in Center City. I've from where I was a year ago, probably when we spoke last, Jeff, I just think it's, I've come so far in terms of where my messaging is, that becomes that important. When I put a video out or I just want to say something, I just want people to know, whether it's alcohol, addiction, drugs, mental health issues, something's bothering you, just just have enough courage or find the wherewithal to say I need help. Because that, when I look back at it in my journey, that was the hardest part. Everyone knows that pretty much now the community knows, I had a real battle with alcohol at the end of my career, and I came through it. And I've gotten 11 and a half years sober. It's been the greatest reward that I've given myself in my life. I've had an amazing ride. I have a book coming out at the end of the year where I really I post a lot of these stories. So I did that last year. It was very moving in a lot of ways because it opened up a lot of back doors and a view for me to look from the back end of where I once was. But, letting people know in Pennsylvania Recovery Center, we have, we're an aftercare facility. We get places from a lot of other great facilities, whether it be local, like Karen Treatment Center in Wernersville. If someone leaves a place like that, they'll end up coming to us where we get the aftercare for them that they need to, so they're able to get back out on the street again, get a job, live their life. Because all those things that you had before that you were safe from your 30 days in rehab, when you're walking the street again and you're out, you have to be able to live. And that's really what I want people to understand. But have no fear, have no shame in who you are. We're human beings. We make mistakes. We go down wrong paths sometimes. And if we right them, or if we want to have the intent to right those ships, then that's probably the most honorable thing you can do as a human being. And I implore every single person out there to be true to themselves, and honor themselves. If you have something wrong, just ask for help. It's as easy as that.
Well, look, hopefully athletes, former athletes, just everyday people talking about these challenges and normalizing it as opposed to taking and having that stigma around it so that people can start to feel comfortable asking for help. It's a great thing that you're doing out there. We look forward to the book coming out and always appreciate the time. Look forward to your call on the ice tomorrow night. And thanks, Chris. We hope the Flyers turn it around, and appreciate what you're doing in the community.
Call on the ice with no pucks.
That's right. We look forward to it, man. You take care of yourself.
Thanks, guys. Always a pleasure.